The Pittsburgh Steelers are in complete meltdown mode right now, and what happened at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday night might be the breaking point for one of the NFL's most respected coaches. For the first time in Mike Tomlin's 19 years leading this team, fans are literally chanting for him to be fired in his own stadium. Let's talk about how bad things have gotten in Pittsburgh. The Steelers just lost to the Buffalo Bills 26-7 at home, and it wasn't even close. This team started the season 4-1, looking like a real playoff team. Now they're 6-6, having lost 5 of their last 7 games. The wheels are completely falling off, and everyone can see it happening in real time. Here's what made Sunday night so shocking. During the second half, with the Bills dominating every part of the game, Steelers fans started booing. But it wasn't just regular booing. The crowd started chanting, "Fire Tomlin," over and over again. You could hear it clearly on the television broadcast. This is the same coach who has never had a losing season in his entire career with Pittsburgh. Think about that for a second. Tomlin has been coaching since 2007, won a Super Bowl in 2008, and has always kept this team above 500. But now his own fans want him gone. When reporters asked Tomlin about the chants after the game, he didn't get defensive. He actually agreed with the fans. Tomlin said, "I share their frustration tonight, man. We didn't do enough, and that's just reality of it."
Man, I share their frustration tonight, man. We didn't do enough, and that's just reality of it.
A couple days later, he explained it even more. He said, "Football is our game. We are in the sport entertainment business, and so if you root for the Steelers, entertaining them is winning, and so when you're not winning, it's not entertaining." That's a coach who knows his team is letting everyone down. The game itself was absolutely terrible for Pittsburgh. The offense only scored 7 points. They gained 166 total yards the entire game. That's embarrassingly bad for a professional football team. The Bills' defense also scored 7 points when they recovered a fumble and ran it back for a touchdown. So the Steelers' offense matched what the other team's defense did. That tells you everything you need to know about how poorly they played. The defense was even worse somehow. Buffalo ran the ball for 249 yards. That's the most rushing yards the Steelers have ever given up at Acrisure Stadium. Running backs James Cook and Ray Davis were running wild. Quarterback Josh Allen was also running all over the place. The crazy part is, Buffalo was playing with backup offensive tackles, and they still destroyed Pittsburgh at the line of scrimmage. When backup players are pushing around your defensive line like that, you have serious problems. Now let's talk about the biggest problem of all. Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers brought in the 41-year-old quarterback this season, thinking he would be the answer to their problems. They had Russell Wilson last year, and that didn't work out. Wilson struggled down the stretch, so Pittsburgh went out and got Rodgers. The idea was simple. Get a veteran quarterback with experience who could keep the offense steady and make smart decisions. Instead, Rodgers has been even worse than Wilson was. Against the Bills, Rodgers completed only 10 of 21 passes. That's a 47.6% completion rate. He threw for 117 yards and 0 touchdowns. He also fumbled the ball, which Buffalo took back for a touchdown. Rodgers looked slow, confused, and just old out there. When you watch him play, you can tell his body isn't keeping up with his mind anymore. The numbers for Rodgers this season are really bad. He's averaging 189.6 yards per game. That's the lowest of his entire career. It's the first time he's averaged under 200 yards per game since he became a starting quarterback. His QBR, which measures how well a quarterback plays, is 40.4. That's also on track to be his worst ever. After starting 4-1, Rodgers is now 2-4 in his last 6 starts. This is not what the Steelers paid for. Here's where it gets even more complicated. Rodgers is playing hurt. He broke his left wrist in Week 11 against the Cincinnati Bengals. At first, everyone thought it was just one fracture. Then reports came out saying it's actually 3 fractures in his wrist. One of them is a really serious break that only happens when you hit something with major force. Rodgers missed the game against the Chicago Bears because of this injury. Then he came back to play against Buffalo wearing a cast on his wrist. The injury affected everything Rodgers tried to do. He couldn't take snaps from under center, so the Steelers had to use the pistol formation the whole game. This limited what plays they could run. His throws didn't have zip on them. His accuracy was off. Receivers were struggling to catch passes because the ball wasn't coming out right. From the very first drive, you could see Rodgers was hurting the team more than helping. Then in the third quarter, things got worse. Buffalo defensive end Joey Bosa hit Rodgers really hard. Rodgers fell face first onto the frozen grass, landing on his already broken wrist. His face scraped across the ground and his nose started bleeding. Buffalo's Christian Benford picked up the fumble and ran it back for a touchdown. Rodgers had to leave the game with blood coming from the bridge of his nose. Backup quarterback Mason Rudolph came in to replace him. Rudolph immediately threw an interception on his first drive, which led to another Bills touchdown. Then here's the crazy part. Rodgers came back into the game. Even though he was clearly hurt, bleeding, and not playing well, he refused to stay on the bench. The medical staff had to treat the cut on his nose while he was back in the game. This decision to keep playing shows something about Rodgers that people are starting to question. Is this toughness or is this ego? A lot of people are saying Rodgers should have sat out. He wasn't giving the team a better chance to win. He was actually making things worse. But Rodgers wanted to be out there because he didn't want to admit he couldn't go. One analyst said, "That's not leadership. That's ego." It's a fair point. Sometimes the best thing a leader can do is admit they're not ready and let someone else take over. After the game, Rodgers started pointing fingers at his teammates. He called out tight end Jonnu Smith specifically. There was a play in the fourth quarter where Rodgers and Smith weren't on the same page. Rodgers said, "When there's film sessions, everybody shows up. And when I check to a route, you do the right route." Jonnu and I weren't on the same page. I checked to his inbreaker and he ran an outbreaker. That's Rodgers publicly blaming his teammate on television. Rodgers also criticized the team's practice habits. He said it was a poor practice week with bad energy and tempo. He told reporters, "We have our meetings every week. We have other opportunities outside of the facility. And look forward to seeing all the boys there." Basically saying his teammates aren't working hard enough. The locker room is not happy about this. When defensive captain Cam Hayward was asked about Rodgers criticizing the team's focus during the week, Hayward just said, "Ask Aaron." That's it. 2 words. That tells you everything about how the defense feels about their quarterback throwing people under the bus. This whole situation feels familiar to a lot of people. Rodgers did the exact same thing in Green Bay at the end of his time there. He created drama, pointed fingers, and the team culture fell apart. Then he went to the New York Jets last year, and the same thing happened again. Jets fans tried to warn Steelers fans this was coming. They saw this movie before. Now Pittsburgh is living through it. What makes this so frustrating is that the Steelers were supposed to be different. This organization is known for being stable and professional. They've only had 3 head coaches since 1969. That's incredible in today's NFL, where coaches get fired all the time. The Steelers don't do drama. They don't have players causing problems. Mike Tomlin runs a tight ship. But somehow, in just 3 months, Aaron Rodgers has cracked that culture wide open.